CodeBlocks is the environment that we'll be using for programming in C. It's on all the computers in the lab and it's free to download, and so you can go out to the internet and get CodeBlocks and install it on your home computer if you want to be able to work on labs and practice problems from class without having to come in and use one of the lab computers. When you start up CodeBlocks, you'll see something like this. There's a little tip of the day that pops up. If you don't want to see the tips, you can just unclick this little box, or you can click close or the X at the top to get rid of the tip. In C, our code is going to have to be a little bit more structured. So every time we write a program, we're going to have to write it inside a project. So we'll have a project that then contains the files where we write our code. So we're always going to have to start by making a project in CodeBlocks. It can seem like a complicated process, but once you do it a couple times, you'll get the hang of it. So we're just going to go to File, New, and then Project to select New Project. Then we'll pick Console Application. That just means that all of our programs will get their input and output from the console, which looks a lot like MATLAB. It's going to be a text-based interface. So we'll go ahead and click Go. And we'll click Next on the next page. Here you want to make sure that you choose C as your language. We'll click Next. Now you can give your project a title. So you can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call mine Demo Project. And then on the lab computers in particular, you want to make really sure that it's going to create the project in a folder that you have write permissions to. So the process will fail if you can't write to the folder where you're trying to save the project. So always double check and make sure that the folder that you're using is one that you're allowed to write to, and also that you pay attention to where the project is getting stored so you know where to go find the files later. The project file name is going to end in the extension .cbp for CodeBlocks project. We'll click Next when we're finished here. This page gives a little bit of information about how the project is going to be compiled, and we'll talk a little bit about what compiling means and why we need to do it with C a little bit later. But for now, you just want to make sure that these options look like this, and you shouldn't have to change anything on this page. So when you're done with this page, you can click Finish, and then you should see this. So this is the CodeBlocks interface. We have a little navigation pane over here that lets us go through the projects and some other options. Right now in the Project Explorer, you can see your workspace, and then here's this project I created, Demo Project, and then underneath it there's a folder called Sources. The files where we write our code will be called Source Code Files in C. If I click the little plus here to expand this folder, I'll see that there's a file called main.c. So all of our files where we write C code will end in the extension .c, and these will be the files that we end up turning in, not the .cbps, but the .c files where we write code. If I double click on this code, I can see that there's actually a little program that's provided for me to help me kind of get started in CodeBlocks. So that's how you create a CodeBlocks project. In the next video, we'll talk a little bit about what this code looks like and how we can run this code and what it'll look like when we run our code and get results in CodeBlocks.